what was actually commons. Uh, you have a privately owned resource, which everyone recognizes. What is a privately owned resource? You can have a state-owned resource. That is also clear. And third is, you can have a resource which the entire community is using. Okay. Now, Hardin assumed that if everyone is using the resource, then that means there's no control over it. Okay. So any commonly used resource is a uh, is a common property. But Ostrom, and before Ostrom, Fickret, Burks, Romley, Sirius, Van Trapp, and Bishop, in a very influential paper, argued, or rather pointed out, that you basically have, uh, resources which are used by everyone can be of two types. One are genuinely not controlled, so anyone can come and use it. For instance, deep sea fishing, there's no control, and that is an open access resource. However, the commons which Hardin had referred to, the grazing land in medieval Europe, that was actually, it may have been used by everyone, but the village controlled its use. So, every one of you could go and use the resource, but there were restrictions. And the village overall kept an eye on how the people were using it. And there were many instances of such cases. Uh, One was in the Philippines, you had the irrigation system, you had the groundwater reserves in Spain. These were used for centuries, 300, 400 years. The entire community was using it, but they were able to manage it sustainably because the community was managing it, not private individuals, not state, but the community as a whole. So this should not be confused with open access. And CDSE Van Trapp argued that it is basically, this is a common property resource. So you had privately owned resource, state owned resource, you had open access resource, and you had common property resource. Okay, now open access resource, well, the Hardin problem was genuine. You could have the tragedy of the commons. But in case of the common property resource, uh, people were able to manage it sustainably for centuries. So the tragedy of the commons did not work over there. So Ostrom argued that, and Hardin's critics argued that Hardin was basically confusing between, he failed to make a distinction between open access and common property. He considered both types to be open access. Everyone was using it, so no one was controlling it. That's the mistake that he made.
Okay, sir, got it. তাহলে
And
আপনাকে
then
একটা রিমাইন্ডার পাঠিয়ে দেবো ওই সালিভানের পেপারের রেফারেন্সটার জন্য।
জাস্ট তুমি মেলে, তুমি ইমেলে যে সাবজেক্ট লাইন, ওখানে সালিভান
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
কথাটা লিখে দিও।
ঠিক আছে স্যার।
আমার কালকে 11টা একটা ক্লাস আছে, আমি 10:30টাতে পাঠিয়ে দেবো।
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ।
হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা, বিফোর স্টার্টিং, ইজ দেয়ার এনি আদার কোয়েরি?
So I had a query in the last part which you taught, that is principal agent problem with moral hazard. So like towards the last part where you said that like the different industries will have different types of contracts. So sir, I just needed a clarification for that.
Okay. See, this is the choice structure which the principal and the agent faces. Okay. I've already discussed this, and I hope none of you have any problem with this. Now, as you can see, that wait a minute, where is my pen gone? As you can see, that the agent has the incentive to shirk over here, and even if he works hard and the state of environment is not favorable, he's not going to get the bonus. I mean, here withholding the bonus is justified. Here, even though he works hard, he's mistaken, his actions are not observed, and now this goes against him. Okay. So the problem facing the principal is that, okay, he wants to design a contract which will have two effects. One is the agent is going to leave his present job and is going to work over here. So you can see that this is the participation contract. And if you give him, if you set it equal, then you get his wages, the wages at which he is indifferent. If you offer him just 1 rupee more, he's going to work in the job. He's going to switch. The second problem is how to induce him. He accepts the contract, but how to ensure that he works properly. So this is the effort constraint or incentive compatibility condition. This is the constraint that has to be satisfied. Again, you can set it equal to find out the critical wage and then just give him 1 rupee more. Now, in case of if the agent is offered a wage and bonus which satisfies both these conditions, participation contract and effort constraint, he's going to switch over to your job and he's going to work hard. Now the question is that fine, I'm inducing the agent to work hard. Okay, I'm giving him a bonus. But just by giving him the bonus, my profit is coming down. So is it worthwhile to offer him the bonus contract? Okay. So solving this, so here the condition is 4 minus 2, 1 by, I mean, this condition, this is the condition. And if this condition is satisfied, then it is better for him to offer the contract. Okay. So far,
Okay,
is it clear? I haven't
yes,
come
sir.
to your problem, Aradhana, but so far, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Achha. So the entire issue is that, okay, will this condition be satisfied or not? Now you can see that 4, 2, this 2, these are obtained from the earlier matrix. Alpha, however, indicates the risk aversion. Okay. So I can control to some extent, I can control 4 and 2. I mean, these are given to me. But alpha is your risk aversion, right? And if
Yes,
alpha
sir.
changes, then depending on the value of alpha, whether this condition is satisfied or not is going to change. Okay,
Okay, sir.
that should be clear to you. Now we
Yes, sir.
come over here. What happens if alpha changes? When is alpha high? When is alpha low? And next is, in that case, what type of contract will be offered? I mean, either you can give him a fixed wage contract, he doesn't work hard, but that is fine with you because paying him, he asks a very high bonus. If you give him the bonus, your profit is going to come down drastically. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so
Yes,
this
sir.
is the problem. So remember this. Over here, if I'm right, this is the profit of the producer, and this is the profit of the producer, right? So
Yes,
this
sir.
component is important. Suppose B is greater than 4. Think of a simple case. Suppose B is 5. What will happen over here?
Minus half.
Yeah. So if he works hard, your profit is this. And if he doesn't work hard, your profit is this. Which one will you prefer?
The second one.
So even if he doesn't work hard, that's fine with you. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
depending upon the market, I mean, so the question, so I mean, a priori, it may appear that paying him a bonus, inducing him to work hard is always desirable, but that is not true. He may be requiring a bonus which is very high. In that case, it is better for you not to offer the bonus, just induce him to switch over to your job. Now, in this slide, sorry, uh, and the next slide, what we were saying is that the amount a principal has to pay increases with the agent's level of risk aversion. So basically what I'm saying is it depends upon alpha. If an agent is highly risk averse, then he's going to ask for a high bonus. In that case, the principal will find it better to go for a fixed wage contract. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
On the other hand, if you're risk neutral or a risk lover, then you're going to ask for a very low bonus. In that case, if you go back to the market, to this equilibrium, instead of B being 5, B is very low, half, 1, like this. So fine, you're prepared to pay the bonus. Okay, so when are you going to be risk averse? When are you going to be risk neutral? Well, it depends on the particular industry which we are considering. Uh, in our case, for instance, think of where you're working in a job where there's no uncertainty, right? So every day we have to come and teach, and we just go back. Uh, there's no risk involved, right? So it's a safe job. In that
Yes,
case,
sir.
giving a bonus is desirable. On the other hand, if it's a very risky industry, okay, most, I mean, you may get a profit, you may lose also. In that case, you have to go for, it's better not to give a bonus. Just accept the fact that the person is not going to work hard. When is it risky? When is the industry risky? When you have random factors operating. Agriculture, for instance. In agriculture, you work hard and it doesn't rain. You give your effort, it doesn't rain, you fail. On the other hand, a safe industry is where only your effort is important. There are no random factors. In that case, the bonus becomes very important. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And did I send Watson's book? I don't remember.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Give me one second. It's very hot. I'm adopting the IPL strategy. I brought a wet towel, and after every slide, I'm going to wipe my face with this wet towel. So there'll be a strategic time break after every slide. Today is very humid. Okay. So uh, we said that uh, when people enter into a contract, this may require one party to invest in. I mean, any contract requires you to invest in some capital. It can be physical capital. For instance, suppose you have decided that you are going to supply, you are going to do some data entry. So you will have to invest in a laptop. That is your physical capital. If you decide that you are going to uh, do some work for a chartered accountant, do some accounting work, you will have to invest in human capital, learn the basic principles of accountancy. Okay. Now, so before you enter into a contract, you have to invest in a very special form of physical or human capital. Now, sometimes, see, if you buy the laptop and you find that you cannot, there's some problem with data entry, you can always switch over and use the laptop to do something else. So the laptop is not specific to a particular transaction. But suppose you train in, let us say, mercantile law, and you find that you cannot work in you're not good in mercantile law, or you're not getting practices, enough cases. Can you use this human capital in some other activity? You can't use it. So if the investment is specific to a particular type of transaction, then you have the problem of asset specificity. Okay. So you have basically two types of capital. One type can be used for can be used in multiple ways. There's no problem with that. But there's another type of capital which can be used only for a very specific purpose. In this case, you have the problem of asset specificity. Now, asset specificity can take four forms: physical asset, site-specific asset, human asset, that is skill, and third, dedicated asset. Okay. The problem with investing in specialized capital is that uh, you have, see, when you're planning, you're deciding what to do. You have multiple options and you can invest in any type of capital. So right now, you can decide that, okay, I want to go for actuaryship, or I can go for become a chartered accountant, or I can become a data entry, I can become a research analyst. You have 6, 7 options, right? So all your options are open to you. As soon as you invest in a particular form of capital, your actions now narrow down to one. You can continue only in one line. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, this has a possible risk. And Williamson showed that the risk was that if you got tied up, you see, the problem of hold up would occur. What is the meaning of hold up? See, you have already invested in the capital. Right? If we switch over to a new line, there's a huge cost. Therefore, you become locked to a particular partner or you become locked to in a particular line. Right? In this situation, as you will see, both parties has the temptation to, again, faces a temptation. They will say that, look, so let me give you an example that will make it clear. Let us say that 4 firms are coming um, after your exam ends, and they will recruit from your batch. Now, each firm says that, okay, I want a student. In order to apply, you have to specialize in one of the 4 electives. The electives are E1, E2, E3, E4. Okay, and the firms, so A says, I want a student who has taken elective E1. B says, I want you to select E2 elective, right? And each of the firms says that I'm going to offer you a wage of 200, 180, 150, 120. Now the question is that fine, given this situation, which elective are you going to choose? And remember, once you have chosen the elective, you have to complete the course. You can't say midway that, okay, I want to switch and go to E2. Nidha, which course, which elective will you choose? Ritika,
Sir,
own elective? Yes,
E2?
Cano?
Sir, na E1. Sir, seeing the payoff or what?
কি বলো, একটা কি বললে আমি শুনতে পাইনি। আর্য, which elective will you choose?
So with the one with the higher payoff, like E1 or E2, I guess.
না, you have to choose only one elective. তাহলে কোনটা নেবে?
E1 where the firm is paying me
Let us suppose
higher.
that each elective is equally hard or equally easy. Okay. So in that case, which one will you choose?
So E1.
E1. Why? You're going to get the highest pay, right?
Yes, sir.
Acha. Now, right now, at this moment, you have the. I've not asked you for the electives. You don't have to say which elective you're choosing. So all your options are open. So how many options do you have? Which company can you join? Think of join. You can join either A, B, C, or D. All four options are open to you, right? Achha. Once you have chosen E1, can you apply? Do you still have four options?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
If you choose E2, do you still have four options?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So this is a case of uh, human asset specificity. Okay. So uh, right over here. Over here, you assume that you're going to choose E1. You want to be recruited by A and get a salary of 200. Okay. Now, once your fifth semester ends, the firm knows that you cannot apply to B, C, or D, right? So the firm can say that, look, you either accept 150 or I'm sorry, but I can't recruit you. The market conditions have gone down, and so I cannot offer you more than 150, right? So you can either accept the offer and get just 150, and if you don't accept the offer, what will happen to you?
Remain unemployed.
Jobless.
You're going to be unemployed. Okay. This is a situation when the firm is holding you up. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So the student doesn't have any, once he has completed E1 elective, he does not have any alternative. So the recruiting firm A has held him up. Now, alternatively, only one student has taken E1, and after the training is completed, he says that, look, you have to pay me 220 or I'm going to leave the firm. If the firm allows him to leave, he says, no, I offered you 200 and I'm going to stick to that. The firm will again have to restart the recruitment process and again train the new candidate. Okay, which will be very time consuming, very costly. So what will the firm do? The firm is
Hire
Give
going
the
to,
him.
person 220.
yeah, the firm. So now this is a situation when the student has held up the firm. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So what happens over here, that if the capital is very specific, it can be used in only one type of transaction, both parties become locked to each other. So I'm asking you, I'm entered into a contract with you, and you have invested in capital. So you cannot switch. On the other hand, if I just kick you out, the problem is I'll have to find out and train someone else with that type of capital. So both the parties become tied to each other, and therefore both of us will now try to renegotiate the contract. Now, suppose let's think of, let's take this recruitment. Will the student be able to hold up the firm? Well, very unlikely. Because, as you know, most companies say that after training, you will have to stick on for 2 years. You can't leave. You will have to sign a bond. And besides, other than you, there are other students who have taken E1 elective. So the firm can very easily just say that, sorry, I won't pay you more than 200 and hire someone else. Maybe the training is very easy. It's not, it just takes a week. So in that case, the firm is in a better off position. The firm will hold you up. The student cannot hold up the firm. Is it clear? So depending upon the
Yes.
Yes,
situation,
sir.
either theoretically the firm can hold up or the worker can hold up the firm. In reality, what happens is, depending upon the situation, one person has greater power and that person is going to hold up the other party. Now we come to this case, which you are going to find in Church and Ware. Okay, so you have, uh, what's the company? Schweppes, who makes ginger beer. And Spondon, ginger beer কারা তৈরি করে?
Sir, I don't know.
Anyway, so we have a ginger beer company and they want bottles or cans in which to uh, put the ginger beer in and sell it. So there are two parts of the process. One is making the actual ginger beer, which is conducted by the firm. And the second part is uh, packaging it in cans or bottles, which are then sold. So this can or bottle is outsourced. Someone else is going to produce it and I'm going to buy it. Suppose I'm the ginger pop producer. So I'm going to buy the can or bottle from one of you. This is the basic situation. Okay. Now, the cost of making the bottle given by CB, it has two components. One is the fixed cost. You have to invest in capital that is given by F. And the second part is your variable cost. So depending upon who is making this very peculiar noise. So once you decide that you are going to make bottles or cans, you are investing in F, and depending on how many bottles is required, you are going to have a variable cost given by TVP. Okay. Now, suppose for some reason you want to leave the industry, your variable cost will become zero, but your machinery is there. You can sell off the machinery at a cost, it is technically called salvage cost of machinery. And this is given by S. Now,
Sir, can
generally,
you please
because
repeat this point? Salvage point?
salvage cost হচ্ছে, you have brought some machinery and you decide to leave the industry, so you sell it.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So obviously it is second-hand machinery. So therefore, the salvage cost will be less than F. Salvage cost can be greater than F in very exceptional situations. I remember that we had a anyway. So let us say that you are the bottle manufacturer. Your cost is given by TVP plus F. You face a salvage cost of S, and you are supplying it to me. Me, I'm buying the bottles and I'm making ginger pop or ginger beer. I anticipate a revenue of R. What is my own cost? One is, of course, that I have to buy the bottles from you. Apart from that, I also have a variable cost of making the ginger pop. This variable cost is given by TVP. So this is excluding the cost of making the bottle. Right? Now, suppose you have a competitive market. In competitive markets, what we generally do is we ask for sealed tenders to seal bids to supply, let us say, 100 cans or 100 bottles. And let us say that there are two companies, A and B, who can supply the cans. A can supply at a cost of 70 and B can supply at a cost of 90. Okay. Now, what is a seal tender? It means A will write down that, okay, I'm going to supply 100 cans at a price of X. And I'm going to seal X. A will have to seal it and submit it to me. B will also do the same thing. B will write, I'm willing to supply cans at a price of Y, seal it in an envelope and give it to me within a certain date. And after the date is over, A, B will sit with me and I'm going to open both the envelopes. In that case, the the firm who is offering a lower bid will be awarded the contract. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare between X and Y. If X is higher, A is going to get the contract. If Y is higher, if X is lower, A will get the contract. If Y is lower, B will get the contract. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry there's so much noise, but I mean, it's so hot I can't close the window. Okay. Now, why this type of bidding is successful is both A and B wants to win the contract. So both of them are going to bid at the lowest price. Okay. But what is the lowest price that A can charge without making a loss?
70.
70. B can charge minimum of price of 90. If he charges less, he's going to make a loss. So what will happen is A will win. No, sorry. This is Q. This is B. This is Q. This is average cost. So you can see over here that price is equal to average cost, which implies that you earn only normal profits. Okay. Now, this is a ex ante situation. So I can call all your entire batch and say that, look, I want to start producing ginger beer and I want someone to supply me with cans. Okay. Initially, what happens is none of us are tied to each other. You can see that, look, instead of supplying cans to ZH, I can do something else. I can say that instead of buying from Ritimoy, I can buy it from uh, Jannat. So none of us are tied to each other. Both of us are free. Both of us have all options in front of us. But after the contract is signed, immediately we get tied to each other. This is the situation of asset specificity. In this situation, asset specificity becomes important. Now, let's see how it becomes important. The ginger pop, so I'm giving the can supplier F plus TVB. So I'm covering your variable cost and I'm also paying for your machinery. So remember that I'm getting a revenue of R. And what is my total variable cost? My variable cost is cost of producing the bottles, which is by you. This you are doing, but I have to pay you. So I have to pay you TVB. In addition, I have to produce the ginger pop. For this, the average cost, the cost is, total cost is TVP. P for pop. This line. Okay. So this is the total profit that is accruing from producing, entering into the contract. Okay. Let us say that this is equal to 100. This is split up between the two firms. So I'm getting part of it, and the student who wins the contract will also get part of it. What depends upon the share? It depends upon the bargaining power. So I would like to appropriate the entire 100 and give you 0. You get only normal profit. You would like to appropriate the entire 100 so that I get only normal profit. The actual division of this surplus is going to depend upon our relative bargaining strength. Is it clear so far?
Sir, can you explain the grains to trade part once again?
Okay. What is trade? Trade is we enter into a contract and supply ginger pop to the market, to consumers. What is the profit from this? The profit will be given by the revenue R, right? So this is the revenue from selling the ginger pop to consumers. And what is the cost? The cost is the variable cost of supplying ginger pop. What is this variable cost? It has two components, as I told you. One is the actual ginger beer has to be produced, which is given by this component. I'm bearing this. On the other hand, I also have to market it, put it into cans or bottles. So this is the variable cost, which is also there. Right? So this is going to me, this is going to you. Apart from this, if R is greater than this, so let us say R minus This is the operating surplus or the gains from trade. This is may go to either, this is shared between the bottle producer and the ginger pop producer.
So what happens to like each of their fixed costs?
Just give me a moment. দেখো যখন তোমরা ডিসিশন নিচ্ছ, দেখো ফিক্সড কস্টটা তো আর তোমার কিছু করার নেই, you have already invested, it's gone. Now whether you are going to produce or not is going to depend upon your the variable factors. So you're selling on.
Oh, okay, sir.
So what we do is, both of us will anticipate that, okay, R minus TVP minus TVB is equal to 100 or whatever it is. And the contract will be signed in such a way that I'm going to pay you the cost of making the bottles. I'm going to cover your fixed cost. And I'm also going to pay you part of this operating surplus. How much? It depends on our relative bargaining power. Clear? Now, suppose we sign the contract and then we don't want to go through the contract. We try to seek alternatives. What is your alternative? What you can do is, you have already invested F. So what you can do is, you can sell your machinery at a salvage cost of S. Okay. So you're going to get F minus S. And as you know, salvage cost is much less than F. Actually, it's wrong. It should be, what you're going to get is, and because S is less than F, you're going to get some money, but it's not going to cover your initial investment. Clear? Achha. Now, what is my alternative? I can search for, so let us suppose that I had entered into a contract with Nokhotra. And then Nokhotra says, look, I don't want to go through. So I can search among the rest of you. So there's a search cost. The search cost is given by T. Simultaneously, I have to, there's the expense of the fixed cost. So in that case, I'm going to get returns of VF minus F minus T, right? So what is my profit? If I stick to the contract, V minus F, that is my profit. And if I go to Nokhotra, if I leave Nokhotra and go to someone else, this is what I'm going to get. And the difference is T. So basically what we are saying is that if I'm switching from one student to another, I have to incur a transaction cost of T.
Sir, V টা কি স্যার?
T হচ্ছে search cost.
স্যার V
V টা তো আমি আগেই বললাম এখানে। এখানে আমার
gains
gains
from
হচ্ছে,
trade.
মানে যেটা হচ্ছে যে আমি যদি কন্ট্রাক্টে স্টিক করে থাকি তাহলে আমাকে ভি মাইনাস এফ হচ্ছে। নতুন কন্ট্রাক্টে যদি যাই তখন সেটার সঙ্গে আমার ট্রানজাকশন কস্টটা জুড়ে যাচ্ছে, সার্চ কস্টটা জুড়ে যাচ্ছে।
Okay.
Now, what is the alternative surplus? Okay, so by outside surplus, I mean the aggregate surplus, my surplus and your surplus on terminating the contract. So this is given by, so if I terminate the contract, I'm going to get V minus F minus T, right? And you're going to get, you're going to sell the machinery, so you're going to get a salvage cost of S. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So can you repeat, please?
Yes. So what I'm asking is, that suppose we decide to terminate the contract. What is the sum of my surplus and your surplus? Okay. So I have entered into a contract with you, then the contract breaks up. You have already invested in fixed capital, you can sell it and you get S, right? So if you leave the contract, you get S. On the other hand, what happens to me? I'm going to find a new person to whom I'm going to pay F, V minus F, but I also have to suffer a search cost of T. This is my transaction cost. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So now I've got two options. I can either stick to the contract, in which case I get V, when V is this R minus TVP, or, sorry, this is both of us will get V. And the second is we eliminate the contract, in which case our contract, in which case we are going to get O, right? When will you stick to the contract? If V is greater than O. When will you leave the contract? When O is greater than V. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I've just written this. So basically, just a moment. So I'm defining Q as V minus O. Okay. Instead of O, I'm substituting this equation. So V minus F minus T plus S, right? I've just written this, and after simplifying, I'm getting F minus S plus T. Okay. Now, suppose the machinery is not very specific, so you can easily recover the investment. So F is equal to S. On the other hand, I can easily identify someone else. Search cost is very easy. I just post an announcement in Google Class and people just line up saying that I want to supply your cans. So if F is equal to 0 and T is equal to 0, switching partners become costless. We don't have lock-in. If I just don't like you or we quarrel or something happens, either of us can just break the contract and say that, look, enough is enough. I'm going out of, I want a new partner. Okay. The problem is that if Q is greater than 0. So in other words, over here. And which basically means that search costs are positive and F is greater than S. Both of which are quite reasonable, right? In this situation, we become locked into each other. I've entered into a contract with you. I cannot find out a new producer. You have identified me. You cannot leave me and go find out a new trading partner. In this situation, the problem of holdup occurs. The easy case, the one that appears straight away in our minds, the pop manufacturer, that is, I am holding you up. Okay, so I have said that, look, the contract is I'm going to give you F and I'm also giving you an amount of TVB. After you have, will you enter into the contract with me? So you say, yeah, fine. I said, fine. You go and buy the machinery. So you buy the machinery and then come to me. I said that, look, Nakhotra, I'm very sorry to say, but I expected a revenue of R, but actually it is going to be lower. So what I can do is, instead of offering you F plus TVP, I offer you S plus TVB plus 1. Why 1? Because if you accept and say, fine, I'm sorry to hear that you made a wrong calculation. Okay, I'll accept S this amount. How much are you going to get? See, this part is your cost. Okay, so I'm paying you, you pay your labor, etc. So basically what you're going to get is S plus 1. On the other hand, if you say that, no, look, you're breaking your word, I can't trust you, so I'm going to break you. I'm going to break the contract. In that case, what do you get? You have already invested in F. You can sell it. You can't use this F to make something else. You have to sell this F. And in that case, you get S. So your options are continue with the contract, get S, break the contract, get S. What will you get? What will you do? Orgo?
Accept the offer.
Say accept the offer.
You'll have to accept the offer. So you suffer a loss, right? You expected to get F, instead you're getting F minus S plus 1. But you can't do anything else. So what you're going to do is, you don't trust me, right? What you will do is, as soon as we have signed the contract, you say that, sir, I'm very sorry to say, the workers are saying that it's very hot and we need a higher wage rate to produce bottles. Otherwise, they are not going to work. Whether it is true or not, that is immaterial. You make this claim. And you say that, okay, you promise to pay me F plus TVB. Instead, please pay me F plus TVP, which you had said. In addition to this, pay me T minus 1. What is my option? I can refuse and search for a new producer. My cost will be T, or I can accept. In that case, how much am I? What is my cost? My cost is t minus 1. Again, which is better?
Accepting the offer.
Yeah. Now the question is, who am I going to hold you up, or will you hold me up? Okay. See, once before we make the investment, all of us are free agents. Once the investment is made, you have a hold up. Both firms are tempted to hold up the other firm and appropriate a greater share of the profit, which is V. Uh, Generally, what happens is, depending upon the type of industry, there's only one party has more strength. So suppose all of you are willing to supply cans, and I know that. So T will be very low. In that case, I have the power to hold you up. On the other hand, if the capital is very flexible type of capital, it's not very specific, so I can easily redeploy it in somewhere else. So F is equal to S. In that case, you have the power to hold me up. Okay. So firms with better alternatives, whose loss in switching partners is low, that is T is low, will have the incentive to hold up the trading partner. If the assets are very specific, you cannot redeploy it in some other industry, then the firm making the investment is vulnerable to hold. Okay. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the end of the course. And 4C8 is the last time that we are going to meet. So bye-bye. And any questions about any part? I mean, we can have a doubt clearing class if you want. Not on Sunday, is the ISL final. You can talk it over between yourselves and let me know. I have a class tomorrow, but tomorrow is too early. Apart from this, I don't think I have any other work. So except for Sunday evening, I will be free. Sunday afternoon also, 11 to 1, 11 to 2, I may not be available. I'm not very sure. But Saturday, Friday evening, Monday, I'm free. If you want, I can take a doubt clearing class. And you can always email me with your doubts, and I'm going to respond. It will take some time, but I'll respond. By the way, there was someone
Okay,
asking
sir.
about the Rwanda bill.
Okay, sir.
Uh, you will see the Rwanda bill basically means is that suppose, see, normally what happens is uh, for various reasons, political or whatever, I can seek asylum. I decide to run away from my country and seek asylum in some other countries. It can happen because of economic reasons. The job prospect in my country is low. So, like for instance, people from Turkey, illegally migrate to the continental countries and even to UK. People from Mexico cross over the US border illegally and try to get a job in the informal sector. Asylum can also be sought for political reasons. So, if you remember Pomi Mbango, the Zimbabwe bowler, he was a critic of, I think, Robert Mugabe, and he decided to switch over and seek political asylum in some country. Julius Assange, for instance. So we have many cases when people seek asylum. I remember in 71, my uncle also sought asylum in USSR. Uh, it was a Bangladesh war had started, and so they switched over and surrendered to the. He was posted in Moscow, and he switched over to sought asylum in Russia. Okay, now generally what happens is these people are given. Well, they enter the country, they stay behind. The Rwanda bill says that if these people are caught, they will be sent to countries like Rwanda, African countries. The problem with sending to Rwanda is that Rwanda itself is not a very safe place to stay. It's a country where human rights violations are very common. Okay. So basically, I mean, what you have to know is that's why this became very controversial. In terms of the courts, what you need is that you have a person who is seeking asylum in UK and he can be deported to Rwanda or other African countries. What happens is, uh, initially I said that defense is not, cannot be excluded. So if you are a person, if you're living in UK, I cannot exclude you from the general governmental services. Here, after the Rwanda Act, what has happened is I can simply deport you to Rwanda, which means you are no longer eligible to get the benefits of the UK governmental services. So there's my court who is going to protect any human right violation. But since you are in Rwanda, you're not getting benefit of these rights. You're not getting benefit of defense services provided by UK. So the Rwanda bill has ethical issues, which is why it's very controversial. In terms of public economics or public finance, the issue is that defense, which was considered to be a pure public good, can also be excluded. So we can no longer say that it is a pure public good. It is non-rival, but it can be, you can apply the exclusion principle. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, sir,
Yeah. Follow.
sir, could you please show us our IA papers? Like last day we were talking about that you show us our IA papers, but it wouldn't be possible because of the UG's IAs actually.
Well, IE papers, I mean, well, technically, well, first of all, I don't have it at home. Second is, I don't actually remember where I've kept it. Mm, See, one thing,
Sir,
when are you going to college next?
Sir, on Thursday for MD ma'am's class on 10:15.
Adverse selection. Understood? Decides on purely ethical grounds. There is no economic grounds. On purely ethical grounds that people should undertake certain actions or consume certain commodities or should refrain from doing something. So there is no other ground except the state has decided, the state feels that you are not able to judge, so you have to do it. The state makes it a law that you have to do. So I can say today that look, it is not desirable for people to criticize me. So that becomes a merit one. In fact, it's the opposite of a merit one. Or I can say that people should, every day when I enter the class, people should praise me. So that becomes a merit one. When I enter, all of you will get up and say, hail, hail, hail to ZH. Okay? I can say that, look, cigarette smoking is bad. If I find someone smoking, he's going to be penalized. Wearing a helmet is good. So anyone not wearing a helmet will be punished. It's purely on ethical grounds. It's not a case of market failure, externality, or anything. I'm the government, I have decided on ethical grounds. Another one warning, when you're writing answers, don't write everything. You're also going to be penalized for writing too much. It means that you have not understood the question. You're just throwing a stone in the dark, writing everything and hoping that at least part of the answer will be correct. So, as I've told you repeatedly, do ask me, take a chance, ask me. If I reply, fine, well and good. So if you have any doubt, don't ask me what should I write. I'm not going to answer that. You'll have to phrase your question accordingly. Okay. Just say that, okay, I'm going to write this something. If you have any doubt, try to clear it up. Don't sit quietly. And don't ask me also that what should I write over here. ঠিক আছে? আর
Yes,
কিছু
sir.
নাহলে আমি ক্লোজ করে দিচ্ছি।
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.